Who is Serge, you might be asking? So Serge Lachapelle is the director of product for Google Workspace, liaising with Google's most important customers and partners such as we at Discussio. So at this point, I'll be handing over to Serge so he can take us on this beautiful flight about AI and how Google has integrated AI into its everyday features.
So I'm going to talk today about Gemini and Gemini for Workspace. And if there are any questions, feel free to type them in the chat or using the Q&A tool in Google Meet, and we'll try to get to the questions after. I think I have some time after my presentation for questions. I'm going to talk about some of the innovation that's going on at Google right now with AI. I've already been presented, but I'm Serge. I speak French, English, and Swedish. I've worked at Google for many, many years, and like our moderator said, I'm now working much more closely with customers and partners. And so I'm going to start off with a question to all of you. Why is everyone talking about AI so much these days? And you'll get a lot of answers, right? People will say, oh, well, ChatGPT started, or you'll talk about innovation. And so I'd like to start off by grounding ourselves and just taking a look at why is everything being associated with AI today? When I started programming in the 1980s and 1990s, when I had to define the world around me, I had to be very, very specific. I had to, there was a lot of class inheritance. And if you were to define an animal so that a computer would understand what an animal was, you had to be very specific. And it's quite hard to define what a cat is versus what a dog is. So, and this has led to software, the software we know today. It's very square, rigid. It doesn't allow you to really go outside of certain boundaries. In the 2010s, we got neural networks. And neural networks are very interesting because you can start training them. You can say, is this a dog? Is this a cat? Is this a dog? Is this a cat? And sorry, this is a dog, this is a cat. And then after a while, you can start asking it, and it will have built the patterns to understand what a dog is and what a cat is. And a great example of this is in Google Meet, for example, where we remove noise, right? So we've trained a system on thousands of hours of noise so that the system understands this is my voice and this is my noise. So this is noise. So if I do this, you won't hear it because the AI system understand that this is noise and not voice. And I can even do it while I'm talking. And we're able to remove all kinds of noises. So that's how we started using neural networks at Google. We started being able to match these patterns. Today, programmers, it's very different. Today, with generative AI and these large language models, you can say, hey, here's a ton of information, go and figure it out, go and make sense of it. And that's how you can define the world now to a computer system, is through these generative large language models. Much, much easier than the first two waves of programming. So what is a large language model, you might ask? Well, it's a big bag of words that you make sense of using really advanced mathematics. So for example, you can start doing mathematics with words by looking at the affinity between the words. So if I have computer, the word system will probably be very close to each other. But if I have a computer and tree, computers and trees aren't usually mentioned together, so there will be much further. And so you're starting to be able to do math with words. So if you have a king, you subtract a woman and subtract a man, and you add a woman, you get a queen. If you have the word Rome, you know that Italy is probably not far away. But if you have Rome and Washington, these two words will be much further away. So we're starting to be able to build a cloud of how close words are to each other, and we call these embeddings. And this has led to the first innovations of neural networks. So this is how in Gmail, if you type a word in your on your phone in Gmail, you're able to say, um, it's able to autocomplete what you're about to type, right? It will suggest words thanks to these embeddings and to the neural network that we've built for Gmail. Now, this is very clever. This is super useful. We've saved billions of hours of typing by being able to help you predict the next word. But it's also very limited because if you start predicting several words, it gets very, very expensive. So, for example, on the left here, you see, right, that if I have this word here, let's say computer, and then one of the words that is next to computer could be system, or and then what could the next word be, and what could the next word be? There's like an infinite amount of possibilities. And what happened was that in 2017, Google researchers developed something they call the transformer. And the transformer basically brings attention to the right word in the series of possibilities you have. So if there's one thing you should remember from this presentation is that this is the big bang moment. This is the innovation where we went from being able to, with big expense of electricity and computing power, trying to figure out what the next things will be, to being able to focus on what the right answer is. And thanks to this, we now have generative AI. And so the other interesting thing you can do with text is with text you can define all kinds of things, right? You can define programming, you can define images, you can define speech, audio, and video. And so with even more math, you can start using text to generate images and speech and film. And so you're seeing a lot of innovation in this space. And that's why we call our system Gemini as being multimodal. Multimodal means it can do much more than text. It can do code, images, speech, audio, and video. So lots of innovation over the years uh, at Google, with things from DeepMind and the first big LLMs that we launched, and Bard last year, and the Palm 2 model. And all of that has been, we've learned every iteration of our artificial intelligence work. We've learned how to build chips in our data centers and how to bring this software to all of you. And through this, we've been able to identify, what our principles should be for this, right? Never bring harm to people, be socially beneficial, trying to avoid creating unfair bias, because when you train these systems, you train them on human information, and humans are biased by default. So try to remove some of the bias. Make sure that things are privacy focused. And so we have about 3,000 researchers today that have written over 7,000 research papers on all of these subjects. And so whenever you see some of the work we're doing in artificial intelligence, please remember that all these principles are always applied to our work. And this leads us to Gemini, our latest language model, and it is used throughout Google's software. And I'll talk a little bit about that right now. So we have different versions of Gemini. We have a small version called Nano, which can run on your phone, directly on your phone, or inside of your Chrome browser. And this one will bring things like very easy grammar correction or simple rewriting tools and so on. Flash is the one that allows you to have very quick conversations and not have to wait 20, 30 seconds for an answer. Sometimes speed is more important than correctness. And so for those kinds of applications, you're going to hear a lot about a Gemini Flash version. Gemini Pro is the free one that we offer to everyone. So if you go on gemini.google.com and with your consumer Gmail account, you'll be using our Gemini Pro offering. And for workspace users, we use Gemini Advanced. And the great thing with Gemini Advanced is that you can put huge documents in there, massive PDFs, and start querying it and asking it questions. It has a huge memory, about I think 2 million tokens now, and that makes it better than all the competition. The fact that you can upload like earning reports in there or law books in there, even the whole Harry Potter series can go into Gemini Advanced, and so that you can do some work on the texts and basically understand them better. And Ultra is for people and companies that are working in very highly advanced research fields. So Gemini Ultra is something that I have never tried, because it's really much more for the experts. So that's the various versions. All of this we call Gemini, but there's different versions of it. And for today, I'm going to talk about the Pro version that's available for Workspace customers. So when I go to gemini.google.com, I get the newest family member of Workspace, which is the Gemini chat assistant. And when you pay for Gemini for Workspace, none of your data is ever recorded. None of your requests are trained. None of the documents you put in there are used for training. This is done in a very private space. So you don't have to worry that any of the data will be used to train any of our models. We do not do that with our enterprise customers. And if you want, let's see if I can do a quick example of how this all works. So I can share this tab instead. And let's see here. I will upload a big document. Let's see what big documents I have. So I have Boeing, the airplane company. I have their end of year report here, and it's 158 pages. So I will say, I am a financial reporter, and I would like to better understand the highlights and lowlights of the Boeing earning report. Could you create a one-page text with this? And now it will load the 100-something pages of the Boeing report, and it will help me extract all the information that I need from this document. And you see, there's negatives being created, positives being created, and then I can start asking it questions as well. So for example, and I'll just open this document so that you can see it. Show in folder, just so that you know how big it is. If I do like this, and then I grab it here and drop it here, and then share this. So you see, it's a massive document, right? This is nothing I would ever read. And it's so hard to find the information that you need in this because there's so much text. And a lot of things are hidden in this. So by being able to just ask it questions. So for example, so I typed, how much debt does the company have? And then I get an answer directly, and I can go see where in the document this answer was. So a lot of innovation coming into this chatbot here. You can also create voices with and you can make Gemini be a brainstorming partner, a career guide partner, a voice that helps you train on your coding. So all of this innovation is coming to gemini.google.com. So let's go back to my presentation. So this is great, but it requires that I bring information into it. It requires that I'm good at prompting, right? As a financial reporter, as an HR specialist, as a recruiter, right? I have to give it context and very clear tasks for it to work properly. But what happens when you bring this inside of Workspace? Well, when you're inside of Workspace, you have all the context, because the context is the work you're working on right now. So inside of Workspace, it can start understanding, hey, you're working on this, I can help you rewrite this, I can help you with improvements, I can help you rephrase. And for me, I'm not an English native speaker. Being able to make sure that my grammar is okay and that I'm using the right voice and so on and so forth is quite very, very useful. Another great example here is how Gemini can go look at your inbox directly in Gmail and help, provide main points. So here's an example. I'm going to press play here. And here I type, please catch me up on the latest things from the school, for my kid's school. And now it will go look at all the emails and it will say, here's some elementary school emails, a field trip, and the PTA is a parental meeting they had. And so, hey, let's go look at this meeting email. Okay, and here's a recording of the email, the recording of the meeting. Please help me understand what happened in this meeting. What are the main points? And again, it's just like that big Boeing document. Now it's a long 1-hour meeting. Gemini will go and get the main points of the meeting for you, so you don't have to view the whole meeting recording. And so this is, again, very useful to get to what is important very quickly. Another thing that we're using Gemini for is, when you use Google Workspace, you have Gmail, you have Drive, you have Slides, Sheets, and Docs, and sometimes you have many tabs open, and sometimes you have to go and look between every app to go get some information. But with Gemini, we're tying everything together. So from Gmail, you can say, hey, go find this information in my Google Drive, and then you'll be able to, Gemini can go get that for you without you ever having to leave your email composition window. So we are hard at work at making sure that Gemini is also the thread that ties all of our applications together and makes all of your information available at your fingertips. In the mobile app, we will provide, we're launching this summer, I believe, where we provide you a menu of answers that Gemini will write for you and you can go and edit. So instead of just suggesting the next word or two, we're actually suggesting a whole answer. And so it'll be very interesting to see how much time we get to save, we can save people with this functionality. In meetings, we are testing this with our alpha and labs customers, where we can take notes for you, we can assign tasks to you. So if someone says, yes, I will do this for next week, if I say that, I will get a task in my Google Task, and in the future, we'll even be able to go put time in calendar so that you focus and deliver this. And I think that, I've worked with video conferencing most of my life, and this is really the next frontier, right? How do we make meetings more productive? How do we make meetings more accountable so that people do what they promise to do? How do we make it easier to have better meeting discipline, create an agenda, send out the meeting notes, prepare next meeting's agenda based on the meeting notes? All this flow are things we're working on. And we are starting with this, will be a little bit later this year, but 69 languages that we will be able to have in a meeting and we'll be able to translate live. And the innovation here is that we also detect the languages automatically. So I could be speaking French to you, someone else could be speaking Swedish to you, and your native language will appear on the screen. This is in early testing. It's coming out before Christmas. I cannot wait to do this, because I think, many of our customers work in very international contexts with many different languages, and it's sometimes a big disadvantage for certain people if they don't speak the main language of the meeting. So being able to allow people to express themselves more clearly is a big win. So there's a lot to do here. We want to make this to much more languages. I'd love to be able to not just have captions on the text, but also do the voice live, change the voice so that I'm speaking your native languages. there's a lot of science fiction kind of work here going on, and it's quite exciting. And finally, I'd like to talk about workflow automation. And this is another secret superpower of these LLMs and of Gemini when you combine this with Workspace. So, for example, in this example, I say, hey, please help me track my receipts. And Gemini understands this and will go inside of your inbox. It will download all the receipts to a Google Drive folder and then automatically create a spreadsheet that has all the receipts itemized so that you can give it to your accounting department, or so you can file your travel expenses more easily. And then as the expenses come in, Gemini can continue to do this automatically because you've set up a workflow. And so even while you're sleeping, if receipts come in, Gemini will be able to do all this work because your information is in the cloud. Your information is not on your laptop. Your information is not, somewhere obscure. It's in the cloud. Gemini has access to it, and Gemini can work on it. So workflow automation, you're going to see a lot of this. This is supposed to start testing in September, October, and I think this will really be impactful to do the things that people hate doing, the repetitive things, the things that are kind of annoying and administrative. This will be quite powerful. Imagine being able to answer candidates automatically that you've received their job application, or and act and file these properly. So all these kinds of workflows are being worked on today. So that's it for my little presentation. I'm hoping you have some questions for me. So please, what are your experiences? What kind of questions? What are you wondering about? Let me have it. You can use chat, or you can unmute your microphone. I'm happy anyways.
Okay, thank you so much, Serge. That was a very, very insightful session. I mean, when you were going on and on, I was like, oh wow, like the language parts of it really was something that thrilled me. Having, now organizations are beginning to have cross-functional teams, teams where people are in different countries with the remote work that is going on now. I mean, being able to have meetings and being able to speak in other people's languages is a no-brainer for me. So well done to you and your team. So now we'll be taking questions. If you have any questions, we can use the chat, or you can unmute your mic and you can go ahead and ask your questions. You can also use the chat box as well.
Yes, please. Have any of you started using some of this functionality now that it's launched? Umama, have you started?
Okay, I haven't started yet, but then I
Okay,
can't wait to start.
we need to fix
I
that.
can't wait to start. Maybe I can't, especially finding emails, because I do with a lot of emails every day, and trying to track them and find proper information or valid information I need at that moment. I mean, I have to start using Gemini.
Well, if there aren't any questions, all I can say is please start using these tools, learn how to use them, think about when you start your day, how you could apply these tools to your daily workflow. And the difference, great, Folasa, that you have a questions for us. So Gemini and Vertex are different in that Gemini, in this case, lives with your workspace, whereas Vertex is kind of like an LLM that you train yourself with your own corporate data. And so you could use it on your databases inside of Google Cloud, basically your data, the data that you've stored in Google Cloud. So that one, Vertex AI learns from your data, acts on your data, so on and so forth, whereas Gemini is really inside of your workspace, and both can talk to each other, no problem.
Okay, Folashade, I hope that question was answered.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Serge.
Thank you,
That answers
Falasade.
my question.
Okay, so I think I have a question. So for me, I'm okay. Before we come Samuel's question, I just have a question to ask Serge. So how does Gemini ensure the security of its users' funds and data, which is very important for businesses and even individuals? How does Gemini actually ensure the security of its users?
So when you buy the Gemini add-on for Google Workspace, uh, Google will never train on any of your data. Your data will never go to other users or even be viewable by any Google employee. So it's very important that your interactions with Gemini are extremely private and sort of sealed inside of what we call a sandbox. Um, so that's very, very, very important. Now there's other things we're using Gemini for. So for all of the users in the world, we use Gemini to identify spam, for example. So we're keeping users safe from spam and from malware attacks by using our own LLM technology to make our users safer. So there's all kinds of different ways to keep users safe. If you use it as a consumer on with your Gmail account, if you use Gemini inside of Gmail, then we can train on your data. So we can learn, like if you put the Boeing document in there, Gemini will may train on this data to learn how to be better. That's why it's a free version.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll be taking more. Okay.
It's
Pardon?
an add-on to work. Yeah, it's an
Okay.
add-on to Google Workspace.
Okay, great. So any more questions? We're open to more questions.
The paid version is much more powerful than the free version. So
Okay.
it's a much more advanced model. It has that big, huge memory. It can create much more complex artifacts. So yeah, the paid version is much more powerful. We'll take a live question first, and then I'll go to the question in the chat. Segla,
Yeah, Serge, good afternoon from
hi.
Lagos. Yeah, my name sounds like yours, or your name sounds like mine.
Yes.
During the communications, I was almost confusing if the mail was for you or for me. Uh, Fantastic application, sincerely, particularly the workflow automation, the voice prompt, fantastic work. Apart from my workspace, I subscribe to Google One for my private consumption.
Yes.
And then I actually observe Gemini over my devices. And
Yeah.
I think yesterday I said, few days ago, I asked a question on the Meta AI, on the Chat GPT, and also on Gemini, and I
Yes.
got a very impressive response from Gemini. I was like, oh, I think I need to port. Okay, so my question is, the Google One Gemini, is it the Pro?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
if you pay for Google One, then you get the more advanced Gemini. Yeah.
Okay, I use Google One. All right, thank you.
Perfect. You're welcome. And the question in the chat, yeah, the cost, I'm not sure. I think it's about $20 a month per user, but I'll let our partner take care of the cost. And of course, these systems are they're expensive at the beginning, and then they go down in cost over time but they're expensive systems to run. So that's why we need to charge for access to these systems. Thank you so much for having me, and hopefully we can do this again, maybe during the autumn season here in Sweden, and see how everyone's been increasing their productivity with the latest AI tools.
Okay, definitely. Thank you so much, Serge, for joining us today. It's been a really, really insightful session with you. I mean, I can't wait to experience Gemini and come and give you back and give you my feedback and later on in the year. So